So I know we had decided as part of our focus that we were going to look at the SESEBA, and we were going to use, we were actually going to do a self-assessment of 5.2, emergent literacy, and we were also going to use the read aloud questions frequency chart to show evidence for this, right? So what I'm going to do is, since we kind of got a general idea of how you felt the read aloud went, I want to delve a little deeper into how you felt using this frequency chart when you watched yourself again do that read aloud, and then we'll kind of compare notes and see what some of our next steps using this are going to be. So for the first round of questions, I mean, we have the different types. We have factual, inferential, opinion, text self, text to text, prediction, authorship, and vocabulary questions. Which one of the questions did you feel that you asked the most?
Vocabulary and opinion.
Okay, so I agree with you on the opinion. I definitely got, I would say between 9 and 10 opinion questions.
Okay.
How many did you log?
I put 6.
Okay, so I got a couple more than
so
you
maybe
did.
That's why I think vocabulary is higher too then, because I have 4 for that.
Okay.
So compared.
So what were some of your opinion questions that you marked out?
I put, why do you think she is crying?
Okay.
At the end, what is your favorite part?
Okay.
What did you like? What would you wish for? And another one, during the story, how do you think Peter feels?
How do you think Peter feels? Okay. Where did you, and what were your vocabulary questions? Let's ask that first.
So for the vocab, like, does anyone know what this is? Like, pointing to the envelope. Does anyone know what it means to invite? Does anyone know what a wish is? And who knows what a surprise is?
Yeah, that's exactly what I have. What were some of the ones that you felt you didn't ask at all?
The text to text and the authorship.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
Well, the authorship, it's like, what would you do if you were the author? Like, I feel like for that group, it wouldn't have been helpful for them, like, to ask that question. Okay. Maybe if we read the story again, and the text to text, like during Circle and during a lot of other activities, we talked about the other books. Okay. So I didn't in that moment, but I think that maybe it would be helpful for the younger kids to show the other books.
What do you think in terms of the ones that we didn't see, which were inferential, text-to-text, and authorship, which one of those 3 do you think is most important to the children in your classroom, especially because it is a bilingual model and this was the first time you read this book? And do you think that it was kind of purposeful, or how did you plan the questions that you would be asking?
Well, I looked over the book and I tried to think of like different questions to ask, like tried to make them, include the vocabulary, the prediction, and I thought that the vocabulary was important so they could understand. Okay. Especially some of like the harder words, like invitation, that might be a word that they've never heard in English. They might know it in Spanish. Okay. So, and I also think that the text to text would be like a good like next step to make sure, especially like the first time reading. Okay. And so, even if it's not a question, just really like referring back to the other stories that we read throughout the theme. And I do think like the inferential too would be good to try to add like during the story, because it gets them like thinking and like even thinking of class, like it would get them to do like the analysis and reasoning. Because the authorship, like I think for our like the other class, the older kids, it would be better, and it could be like an extension. Like if you were the author, how would you write this story, and make it like a separate activity. Yeah. To have them do like that.
Because I think already. So, I mean, we kind of talked about the frequency and the tally and the ones that we didn't see many of. And we've talked about creating next steps around some of those questions. So now that we use the frequency chart, right? How, in section 5.2, emergent literacy of the SESEBA, how did you score yourself for this section using that frequency chart and looking at some of the other indicators?
Well, after like I looked at the indicators, I put good,
Okay.
Because we regularly read high quality books in an engaging manner, and the children were all participating, and like it was patterned and predictable, but it was still like open to their perspective. And you know, when they started asking questions, the story, like I kind of went off their lead. We do have like the big books, information books in the classroom, and during the story, like illustrations and clarifying statements were used to teach word meanings. And I put here like when we talked about the surprise, like Diego made the surprise for William, and like I connected that. And then before, during, and after, invite children to share their thoughts and experiences related to the book as they discuss the pictures, concepts, plots, characters, and themes. So I marked that good.
Okay. Did you notice anything in this actual indicator where it says to share their thoughts and experiences related to the book as they discuss the book's pictures, concepts, plots, characters, and themes? How did you feel? Did you feel like you truly encompassed that whole portion of it, or do you think that there were bits and pieces of that indicator that may have been missing?
Well, I feel like maybe I could have asked, like you said, like different questions, and maybe then more from, like they could share more experiences, or maybe like even like the wish, like I really wanted them, like their wish, but they kind of, sometimes they just repeat what another child says.
Okay.
So we were doing for a while, like 2 kids were partners and they would talk to each other, and then we would just listen.
Okay.
But they got very shy doing that, like, and usually it's the opposite, like they're more shy talking to us. So we tried, like we've been trying different ways, because especially in that class, like if one child says cake, then it's all cake. So we try to get them to answer their own opinion, like different.
So maybe, like you said, prompting them in between those answers with like different questions.